Shabbat Shalom to everybody, and welcome again to First Yahudin Messianic Temple here in Lake Placid, Florida. I am his servant, Maria Simpson, and today I have the second part of last week, which is why did I get married? This is a very, very interesting topic because marriage in a whole, there's a lot of things you can speak about marriage, okay? Marriage, you can speak about unfaithfulness, respect, divorce, abuse. Could be any type of abuse like sexual abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, child traumas, communication, love, his needs, her needs, romance, forgiveness, children, family, attention, special occasions. But in order to understand really everything above what is called marriage, because marriage is a very, very deep topic. We first and foremost must really understand where did marriage come from and how did it begin and why. So really we have to go to the source, and the source is Elohim, is God himself. Okay? My husband and I, we have been married for 40 years. We have gone through our ups and downs, our indifferences. As a matter of fact, we even divorced for 3 months and came back. What we found out in our marriage after we got divorced is that we needed to put God first in our marriage, because there was a lot of things that we did not understand from each other. See, marriage, I called it marriage doors. Every time you learn something in a marriage, it's like you're going through a door. And inside this door, inside this room of your marriage, okay, maybe it's to grow up, maybe it's to understand each other, maybe it's respect, communication, and so on. You're going to learn, both of you must learn, because it cannot just be the husband or wife. It cannot just be one, it has to be both. So you can go to the other door. Now, these doors is what I call ranks. And I call dimensions. I can speak a lot of things about marriage today, but today in particular, I am going to speak only on intimacy. Only on intimacy. We know what the Bible says, actually Paul says in the book of Ephesians, wives, submit. The word submit really means respect your husbands. And husbands, love your wives. Okay? Because a man, a husband that loves his wife loves himself. So there's a lot of information, a lot of wisdom, and a lot of things that really to make our marriage last and understand. For us, for me, in my marriage, what has helped me and my husband is what I call the 2 C's. The 2 C's. What is the 2 C's that I'm talking about? The 2 C's that I'm talking about is called, number 1 C is called commitment. And number 2 C is called communication. Everything else follows with those two. It's respect and love and all this. We need to understand that when you get married, literally you're going to get married. You do not marry for love, because you are already in love. Most people are. When you get married and you go to the altar, it's because it is the right thing to do before the eyes of the creator who invented it, who really, he's the one that started marriage. And we'll know why in a little bit. See, different people marry for different reasons. There are people that marry for money, for prestige, maybe religious reasons, maybe it's a marriage that is arranged, maybe for loneliness. Some people marry for love. But reality is, the reason that really people should marry is because it's the right thing to do in the eyes of the Most High. See, if you don't understand your marriage, how can you understand the one that made marriage? And if you know God who instituted marriage, then how is it that you don't understand your marriage? Because see, marriage is spiritual. Yes, marriage, you have intimacy and you have sex, physical sex. But to understand marriage, you got to go beyond that. You have to go in the spiritual realm and you have to understand it why. So please, don't just be there and listen to what I'm saying. Why don't you bring your Bible? Because see, what I'm going to give you is biblically, it's in the Bible. And if you believe in God, if you believe that He's the creator, if you believe that He's the creator of heaven and earth, if you believe and you love Him and you obey Him and you know He exists and He created everything we see, He even makes and He molds and He forms the baby inside the womb. So if you believe that there is a creator and you believe in God, let's just say God, Yahweh, Elohim, El Elyon, El Shaddai. If you believe, and if you want to know more about what's happening in your marriage, how is your marriage, okay, then please bring your Bible or start writing down the verses, because this is going to help you. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's for somebody you know. Maybe, a friend or a sibling or somebody. Maybe your parents. Maybe yourself. But I know that this is going to help you. Okay? Now, this message that I'm bringing today is the second part of last week, which is called, Why Did I Get Married? Today is the second part, because there was a couple, a few here, and they said that they really did not understand when I did the part one on Why Did I Get Married, what really means to be intimate, the way I was speaking, that you go to your eternity. But today I'm going to give you a little bit more detail on that. Okay, so I believe, this is me, everybody works differently and so on. But I believe that everything has a beginning except for God. So since everything has a beginning, I always love to go to the root of everything. I always love to go to the beginning of everything. Because that is going to help me understand whatever it is, whatever topic. In this case, it's going to be marriage.
Want to switch it?
Okay? So we're going to go to the beginning. And please open your Bibles in the book of Bereshit, which is Genesis. Okay? And we are going to go on chapter number 1, verse number 26. Now, this is... what I'm going to read is when Elohim, and that's Hebrew for God, when Elohim created mankind, okay, something happened there. And this is why I'm going to bring you the second part of intimacy. Okay? And what it is to be intimate. Intimacy in marriage is not just you go to bed and you have sex. Wham, bam, thank you, man, and that's it. It's over with. Woo, woo, woo. No. That's called pleasure. Genesis chapter 1, verse number 26. There's a difference between sexual pleasure and intimacy in marriage. See, it's beyond the sexual pleasure. It's beyond that. Because once you're done with that, with that physical pleasure, it's over. But what I'm going to teach you today is really why is it that many couples don't understand each other. I don't understand her. She doesn't understand me. What's going on? Why does she think that way? Why does he think that way? See, and in order for you or me or anybody to understand, if you want to understand, marriage, the first thing, at least for me, I want to go what it is that is intimate about marriage. So with that in mind, please go to Genesis, Bereshit chapter 1, verse 26. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Verse 27. So Elohim created. Now, this is the verse that I want you to focus on. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. When he created the male and the female, they were both joined together. Because if you notice in chapter right there on verse number 27, see, this is why I said you have to pay a lot of attention to what I'm teaching, because this is very profound. Okay? He said, so he created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. And look at what it says on verse 28. And Elohim blessed them. Not him, blessed them. And Elohim said unto them, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And Elohim said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit, and the tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for food. Now, something happens here. Well, he's creating. Now he's done. He's done. And on the sixth day he created mankind. Okay? But something happened. Now, look at chapter 2 right there in Genesis. That we see on verse number 20 that Adam begins to give names to all the animals. Okay? And Adam gave names to all the cattle and the fowl of the air and to every beast of the field. But look at what it says. But to Adam there was not found a helpmate for him.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Now, how can this be if there's only one man? If there's only one man, what's going on here? So see, what do you mean? He just made male and female,
Yeah.
and now he says that there's no helpmate? What's going on? Well, what happened here is when he created males and females, he created two species together. So apparently, the word Adam, or the name Adam, is not a name of a man. Adam really means mankind. The word Adam, or the name Adam, doesn't mean a name. It means mankind in Hebrew. Adam. Adam. So what happened here? Now he's saying there was nothing. He started naming, Adam started naming the names of the animals. So what happened here? Well, it doesn't say. But who knows what happened there, that Yahweh said, now I have to make him a helper. A helper.
But if it says there Adam, and Adam is mankind.
Yes.
Maybe they were, both of them were.
Yes, they were both together.
No, both of them that were naming animals.
Yes, they were.
Is Adam kind?
Now, you know when there's twins, identical twins, and they are attached to themselves? Sometimes after they're born, they need to have surgery so they can separate them.
Yeah.
Well, this is exactly what happened to them. Okay? Because it says here, okay? It says on verse 21, and Yahweh Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs, which means on his side, and he closed the flesh instead thereof, and the rib which Yahweh Elohim taken from the man, made he a woman. See, now it's not a female, now it's a woman. Okay? Female means the gender. The woman means an adult person. Okay? And Fran made a woman and brought her unto the man. And look at what he says. Look at what Adam said. Look at what the male side said. And verse 23. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman. Hebrew is Isha. Because she was taken out of the man. Okay? And I'll explain that in a little bit. Therefore shall a man leave his father and mother and shall cleave to his wife. Now it's a wife. Where's the wife? What do you mean a wife? The wife they don't talk about a wife before. First it was a female and male. Then a man and a woman. And now a wife. There's a lot of things happening here. Don't you agree? Look what it said. Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they both were naked, and the man and his wife were not ashamed. When you are married, when you give yourself intimacy to your husband or your wife, you are not ashamed. Like if you will go and you have sex with somebody else, you're covering your flaws. You want to look really good in front of that person. But when you get naked in front of your husband or your wife, you're not ashamed. You don't feel remorse. You completely give yourself to each other. There is no other relationship, none, that is so intimate and is so powerful than a husband and wife. Why is that? Because it is the only relationship that two become one. A parent and a child does not become one. A child becomes one with a mother when that child is in the womb. That child becomes one with a father when he is inside of him before he puts the seed inside the mother. After he releases, there's no more togetherness. After the baby is born, there's no more intimacy. There's no more one. Okay? So the only relationship, that is sacred is marriage. Marriage. Okay? Intimacy. Now, and I'll go in more into that in a little bit. Why did you get married? Why did you get married? Why did I get married? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Have you had friends asking that question? Why did you get married? I can't stand him. I can't stand her. You know what? It's been, 15 years? And I don't know what to do. How can two people that live in the same household for 10 years, all of a sudden do not know each other? He doesn't know what she's saying. She doesn't know what he's saying. Why don't you leave the house? Why don't you leave? You know what? Let me tell you. One of the things that I believe that is very, very crucial in a marriage is communication. The 2 C's. Communication and commitment. A lot of marriages do not work because they don't understand why it has to work, and they don't understand about commitments. Well, marriage is hard. Don't you think marriage is hard? Mm-hmm. So you tell me right now. I want to hear from you. From you that you're looking through YouTube and you're looking through Facebook, and you that are here, give me one answer on this question that I'm going to ask you. What is it in life that is not hard? Tell me. Is growing up easy? Is going to the university or school easy? When you go through changes from when you're 7 to 14 to 20, is it easy when your body, especially for a woman, it starts hurting? I don't know about men. You start developing. Is it easy to have a relationships with your family? Is it easy to have a business? You send me there. What is it that is easy in life? See, anything that is worthwhile, it is not easy to get or maintain. When you don't hold on to your marriage, whether you are the husband or wife, it's because you're lacking some understanding of what's happening. So the first thing, what do we do when we don't want to confront this trouble? We run away. We walk away, and that is called divorce or separation.
We buy another house.
That is not an answer to a marriage. Because when there is a divorce in a marriage, let me tell you, it's just not the husband and wife. The children will suffer. The parents will suffer. The family will suffer. Because now there is a separation. There is a breakup. Well, I'm not talking about abuse, please. I'm not talking about abuse. I really believe that there should not be any type of abuse in a marriage. Okay? And it all sometimes it's because what you saw your parents do and so on. So I'm not talking about that. But marriage is very kadosh. Your husband and your wife is the only gift that God will give you besides your life. It is a gift that He has given you. It is not a gift that He has given you so you can mistreat it, so you can spit at his or her face, so you can make fun of. It is a gift presented to you just like when Elohim brought Eve to Adam. What are you doing? Brothers, what are you doing that are married? What are you doing with the gift that Yahweh has given you, your wife? How do you treat your wife? Do you know, have you studied your wife? Sisters, what do you do with the gift that Elohim has given you? Do you mistreat him? Do you make fun of him? And if you do, then why are you still with him? See, marriage is more than love. Because if love was the answer, then why are there so many divorces? It's got to be something more than that. It's called commitment. And it's called knowing Elohim. We are forgetting our Maker. We are forgetting, why did he instituted marriage? Marriage is a blessing, it's not a curse. And there's even greeting cards for divorced couples. There's even, they have done like what is called a parade for divorcees. What is that? And if you do get divorced, then cállate la boca, shut your mouth up, and don't speak negative about your spouse that you used to be married to, and he or she is the father or mother of your children. Because let me tell you what you're doing. When a man divorces a woman, husband divorces a wife, and he begins to make fun of her, he is really making fun of his mother, his sister, his aunts, his grandmother, because she is the mother of his children, of her children, his children. Did I say that right? When a woman divorces her husband and she begins to make fun of with a group of women, because they've done it in front of me. And these are women that are married for what, 20 and 30 years. Make fun of their husband after their divorce. That husband is the father of her children. And when she does this, she is mimicking and she's laughing in her father's face, in her brother's face. Cousins. That is wrong. Because really what that husband and wife are they doing when they divorce, they're really making fun of God. Because these two individuals are made in the image of Elohim. How can you make fun of somebody that you are divorced to, that you've been living for 5, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years? You have children, you have grandchildren. And now because you fell out of love, come on, that's another teaching that I would love to bring. How can you fall out of love? It's because you never were in love. You don't even know what that is. See, we think the honeymoon is always going to be there. The honeymoon is not going to always last, because when the honeymoon is over, you're coming down from the moon. Because what is it that you do in your honeymoon? Only one thing. You do sex. Sex in the morning, sex in the evening, sex at night. Sex. That's what you do. Maria, this is too much. I don't care. I'm talking to adults. You know what? We need to get serious about marriages, because they have made it a laughing stock. Laughing stock. Let me continue, please. The 2 C's. Go with me to the book of Amos. Amos. Chapter 3, verse 3. Amos is just a couple of books before Matthew. Amos chapter 3. Look at what it says in Amos chapter 3, verse 3. Can two walk together except they be in agree? See, here, the prophet Amos is really speaking about the two houses. Christianity, Ephraim, and Judah, Jews, are not coming in agreement today. So that's why they don't walk together. One does the Torah, the commandments, and hasn't accepted Yeshua, and the other one accepted Yeshua but doesn't do the commandments. But also, even though it represents what I just said to you, look at what it says. Can two walk together except they be in agreement? Agreement is a contract. It is a commitment. If you are not walking together in your marriage, together, and I'm not speaking about you have your attitude. My husband has his attitude, his personality, and I have mine. but we walk together. And when I don't understand, and we talk, communicate. And communication really means to listen. Because a lot of times wives are speaking and the man is either watching TV and not paying attention to nothing that she's saying. And sometimes the woman comes from work, she had a hard day, and she's trying to speak to her husband, and what does he do? He's paying more attention to what he's doing. We need to change. How much do you love your wife? How much do you love your husband? How much do you really want to make your marriage work? The word there, agreement, means verbal and written. When you get married, you do not get married when you sign the piece of paper. You get married when you say, I do. And when you say, I do, you're saying in front of witnesses that you are taking this man, this woman as your spouse. Are you all with me? Mm-hmm. When someone gets married, the husband and the wife makes an agreement, makes a contract, not a paper contract, a verbal contract of I do, that I will walk together, we will walk together, when you say I do, together, and I'm going to make a commitment, an agreement, a walk together to make this marriage work. This is exactly what happened to Israel when they came out of Egypt. When they were in Mount Zion, and Yahweh was giving them the commandments, what did Israel say? We will do what you have said. Yeah. What Yahweh was doing, he was really making a marriage commitment. He was getting married with them. But what did Israel started doing? They started committing adultery with a golden calf. They said, this is our God. So what happened? There was a separation at that moment. There was a separation. And Yahweh punished them for a certain amount of time. And I'm not just talking about Israel. I'm speaking also to Christianity. Because in the book, in his word, it says, not only am I doing this with the ones that are here now, but the ones that are coming to me, that will know me. And when you say the word amen, see, that's amen. That's in Hebrew. The word amen means true. And what is most Christians, because I used to do that. What does most Christians do when they say amen? They say amen for amen, amen, amen. You know what? That's not right. That is you're putting an amen. You're putting an exclamation point. You're saying, I will do this. Yes, I come in agreement. That's what amen is. It's not in Spanish. It's not in English. It's in Hebrew. And when you say I do in your marriage, you're really saying I will commit myself to this woman, to this man, no matter what. And I'm not talking about abuse. I will make this marriage work. But the problem is, most cannot make it work because most have seen their papa and their mama, how they have done their marriage, and they bring it to the new marriage, and it doesn't work. Because we were not taught this. Most Christians are taught, well, wives, submit to your husbands. Even if he abuses you, you submit to that man. That is wrong. Submitting means you respect. A woman, a wife is supposed to respect and honor her husband. Because he is the head of the household. But how can a man be head of the household when he abuses a woman? When he rapes his daughter? When he fools around and sometimes brings women to the house? There are women, there are Christian women, they have allowed this in their marriage because they take the wrong thing on what it says about marriage. Paul is the one that wrote that. And Paul was a very learned man. But Paul never got married. Paul was an eunuch. Not that eunuch means that he stayed by himself. And he says, I wish that all men were like me. Well, Paul, that's not going to happen, sweetie. Okay? Because he says that it's not good for men to be alone. And a man and a wife should not be separated for a long time, because Satan comes, and what he's going to do, he's going to, guess what? He's going to, where he's going to go, it's going to go to both of them. He's going to tempt the husband and the wife with a Coca-Cola woman. Tremenda Coca-Cola. Woohoo! And then he's going to send to the woman, woohoo, the six-packer of the man. And what he's going to do, he's going to use what? Words. And what is she going to use? She's going to seduce him with her body. Just like Roger Rabbit. Remember Roger Rabbit when he was married with Jessica? Remember how beautiful she was? So, let me continue. Intimacy is really knowing the other person and feeling deep down. To really understand marriage, you really have to understand Elohim, God, Yahweh. Because He is the one that instituted marriage, not man. Man did not institute marriage. And I'll get to that in a little bit. What is going on in marriage today? Marriage is a school. And you will be giving lessons that you need to learn for your soul to grow. What happens with marriage, in this school of marriage, many are drop out. And sometimes they go back because they want to get their GED. Are you with me?
We keep going back.
Yes.
5, 6 times.
Why are husband and wife speaking gibberish to each other? How can two people living under the same roof speak different language? When he talks, she has no idea what he is saying. And when she talks, he has no idea what she is saying. How did we get married and why? Marriage works on 3 things. God, Elohim, commitment, and communication. And that's called, a big word called responsibility. If you want to know how responsible are people today, go to a jail and see how many men that are in jail that are not responsible because they were not taught responsibility in a marriage. What am I talking about? Marriage works on commitment to each other, and commitment is really responsibility. For example, teachers are committed to their students, yes or no? Parents are committed to children. Judges are committed to bring justice to the courtroom. Husbands and wives are committed to each other in marriage. Committed people do not give up. They set an example for those who don't have the confidence or the experience to go through hard times and hold out the rewards of success. Commitment forms a solid foundation for a healthy relationship. Sometimes couples must learn new ways of thinking and acting in relationships to make it work. We really need to see marriage in a different perspective to understand the other person. Because if you didn't make it with this marriage, you think you're going to go somewhere else and you're going to make it with the other one? In my my salon that I had, the second salon in Chicago, there was this electrician that he came to do some work in the business. I knew him because he was a client of mine. And one day he came and he says that he was divorced. Had 2 children. He couldn't take it no more. He couldn't take her no more. And you know, when you're hairdressers are like bartenders. Everybody actually they expose themselves. Okay. So I'm saying, man, you guys used to be so a beautiful couple. And she was gorgeous. Nice looking man too. Gorgeous kids. What happens? He decides to have a relationship and get married with another woman that has 2 kids. Well, this other woman, she was the Coca-Cola type. Okay? She was selfish. Apparently, he made good money with whatever he did in his business in electricity. Came a point that she came, he goes, Maria, I cannot take this marriage anymore. I look at the way my marriage was and it was heaven. This is hell. Because what she was doing, the second wife, she was trying to all about her kids and nothing about his. Guess what happened? He started telling me on the chair that I was cutting his hair, I miss my first wife. He started crying. I miss my first wife. I love her dearly. This woman doesn't even come close. How stupid I was. I made a very stupid mistake. I want to go. And I said to him, go back. I think you think, he asked me, do you think she will accept me? I said, why not? You are the father of her children. You are in love with her. And I guarantee you she's also in love with you. Well, guess what he did? He went back. The smile on his face was unbelievable. He treated her different. She really was a different type of woman. I mean, after they came back together. So see, these things happen because we were not taught. We were not taught. Marriage is very sacred. Marriage is kadosh, is separated, is holy. This woman and this man, this woman belongs to you and this man belongs to you. It is a gift, and I already said that. It is a gift. When you go into a marriage, you cannot go into the marriage as a man and a woman. Because you are no longer a man or a woman. You go into marriage as a husband and a wife. Because if you go into marriage as a man or a woman, you're going and you're living as the single lifestyle. What is this? I mean, I know that we say this in Cuba too, in Spanish. We say, esta es mi mujer. This is my woman. What is that? No, this is my wife. This is my husband. You are a husband and a wife. You are no longer a man and a woman, because a man and a woman, there is no commitment, only sex. Oh, she takes me out of space. Honey, when that out of space is gone, when the honeymoon is gone, what are you going to do? When she starts sagging and he doesn't produce the same way, what are you going to do, brothers and sisters? See, in a marriage comes kids, children. In a marriage comes family. In a marriage, there's unity. Everybody wants to belong to a certain group of people. Everybody longs for a family. Marriage is kadosh, is holy. And yes, you have to work really hard in your marriage. Really hard. Let me tell you this, really hard. But that really hard is not just for me, it's also for my husband. Because if I'm only working and he's not, it's not going to happen. If he's only working and I'm not, it's not going to happen. Because it takes 2 to tango. It takes 2 to make a marriage. It takes 2. And when you're married, you are no longer uno. You're no longer, 2. You're no longer 2. You are Ehad, you are one. One. A marriage is to walk together, not opposite of each other. A husband and a wife cannot be in a tug of war all the time in their marriage. There's differences, different personalities, different way of thinking. You need to respect, and you need to give some space to your husband and wife. You need to give them space. Ephesians 4:32. Thank you, Abba Kadosh. This is Paul speaking. When you are not kind to each other, the one that you're hurting is the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit. Verse 30, 4:30, chapter 4, verse 30. Grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you were sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. 32. And be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim, for Messiah's sake, has forsaken you. What's the worst that a husband or wife can do in a relationship? Commit adultery? Unfaithfulness? Lies?
Ignore the person?
Ignore the person? Okay.
Abuse?
Mental cruelty? Abuse? Physical, verbal? Okay. Okay, those are really good examples. But how many times did you did a lot of those things to Yeshua? Did he forgive you? Sometimes we do things when we are in the world because other people are. We see it and we hear it. The world's ways is not his ways. How many times have we betrayed God? How many times we have come to him and asked him to forgive us? Can you imagine how he feels when we, because I done it. I done it. When we bring false idols and we start worshiping these false idols instead of him. And he was looking at me. I was committing fornication. I was committing adultery. I was unfaithful to him because nobody has ever told me. They didn't tell me. I'm telling you. Even though I only did it for a year. That's all I did when I used to worship these false idols.
Can you give an example what false idols are that we worship?
What are false idols? She wants me to give an example. False idols are not just statues. It can be a car. It can be gold. It can be money. It can be a person. It can be a house. It can be material things. It can be your stinking attitude. It can be your proudness. I know this person personally. He makes good money. And then what he does, he smokes tobacco, Cuban tobaccos. And he likes to flaunt, not money in his hand, but he flaunts his stupidness of his ego in front of people. That is fornication. That is when you're worshiping other things more than Yahweh. If you love Elohim, if you love God with all your heart, with all your strength, and with everything you have, and you obey him, you have to learn to do the same for your husband and wife. And please, let's not talk about the issue about abuse. That's another issue. Okay? Because there's another issues about marriage. Marriage is kadosh. And marriage is for a husband and wife to be together all the time. This thing that the man, that she works outside of town and they only see each other once a month, that is no good. That is no good. Oh, I see my wife, I see my husband once a month. That's no good, because Satan, it says in the Bible that you should not be apart unless you're fasting and praying, because Satan will come and he will tempt you, and he will tempt you with the desires. And when you're weak and you're separated, let's say he's working and I'm working, let me tell you, you have a need, and let me tell you what that need is. Companionship. You have a need for your husband and wife to be there. And of course, that's during the day, and then you have the intimacy. Because a husband and wife have to take care of each other's business. You don't do other people's business. You take care of your husband and your wife's business. Do you understand where I'm coming from? And when you are living together, it's not enough to be in love. Well, we love together because we want to see what it's like. What is it that you want to see what it's like? How is sex? Is that what you want to be like it's like? Because when you get married, you will find faults with your husband and wife along the way of your marriage. Well, she wasn't like this. I don't remember seeing her like this. Well, he wasn't like this. But it's called that you're learning from each other. You're in a school. And let me tell you, she belongs to you, husband. And she and her and he belongs to you, wife. We have to appreciate what we have. Appreciate what you have. You have a treasure in your hands. You know how many single people out there wish they had somebody? How many women say, oh, I wish I haven't found the right man? You know why you haven't found the right man? Because you're not supposed to be looking for him. He's supposed to be looking for you. Pirates do not. When a pirate goes for a treasure, the treasure's not saying, oh, if only a pirate would come and take me away. The treasure is there, and it's waiting, and there's a lot of pirates that want that treasure. But guess what? Only one wins the prize. And when that one pirate takes that treasure, which is the female, he doesn't want nobody to touch her. Yes or no? And guess what? All the pirates, they want to kill him. Kill him. Kill him. Why? Because he wants what she's got. What is this that, oh, I haven't found the right man? No, sweetie, no. The right man hasn't found you. Because you are the right woman. You are the right man. Be kind to each other and tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as Elohim through Messiah has forgiven you. Marriage is a blessing. It's not a curse. My husband and I, we've been married for 40 years, and I'm telling you right now, we have gone through our ups and downs. We have learned so much. I thought I was never going to be married, not because of anything. It's just that we were very immature. We got married at the age of 18. We got divorced 17 years later. Can you imagine? Allowing people to get into our business. What did we learn out of that? What did I learn out of that? To step back and let my husband do what he has to do as the head of the household. You understand that? Marriage is a blessing, not a curse. Marriage is not easy, but neither is anything worthwhile. Anything that you want in anything, your business, your career, your children, bring anything. It isn't easy because it's worthwhile. Marriage is respect, submitting. Marriage is not a comedy show. I am so tired of seeing women making fun of their husbands. And then they go back home and they sleep with their husband, they cook for their husband, and whatever the hell they do with their husband. How can you make fun of your husband, which is the father of your children? And this is to the sisters. Bunch of women, they look like a bunch of hens. Talking bad about your husband? I don't do this. What should I do? Why? That is secret. There's something intimate between my husband and I. Maybe there's something that I'm displeased, maybe, but he's going to show me why. We communicate. We listen to each other. We say, I'm sorry. This is what we have learned. And guess what? When it's time for you to make up, which I don't know if some of you understand the word make up, it feels so nice. And you will know why. And in a minute, I'm going to tell you. Listen very carefully. Elohim, God's aim is to build up marriage. Hasatan aim is to destroy them. Right now, to all of you, you have to be courage. You have to have the courage and be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for Yahweh Elohim will be with you wherever you go. Endurance. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. One of the things in a marriage that needs is forgiveness. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, for Elohim and Messiah forgave you. Here is where I'm going to talk to you about intimacy. The reason that Hasatan, the adversary, the word Hasatan, Ha means thou, and Satan means adversary. So Hasatan means the adversary in Hebrew. Hasatan. Hasatan means the adversary, the enemy. Okay? The reason Hasatan attacks marriage so there can be a split, a divorce, so there can be problems, is because one thing that he brings to a marriage is chaos. And he knows the kind of power a husband and wife have when they come in intimacy. And this is really what the message is. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse number 5. Now this is also Paul. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse number 5.
Oh my.
Here, Paul is speaking about that a man should not fornicate, you should not touch a woman. Verse number 4, it says, the wife has no power of her own body, but the husband. And likewise, also the husband has not power over his own body, but the wife. This is a very powerful thing here. This is powerful, okay? And it says here in verse number 5, do not defraud or deprive. The word there in the King James, it says do not defraud, which means do not deprive one another, okay? Except it be in consent for a time, that you may give yourself to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan, the enemy, tempt you not for your contingency. Now, the word there, incontinency, means lack of self-control. Men and women think totally different. Men think more about sex, and women think more about the hugging and the caressing, and it's totally different. It doesn't mean a woman doesn't like sex, okay? But it's just, that's the way Elohim has made him, and you will know why. Now, it is not good for a man to be by himself. I will make him a helpmate. And the two will become one flesh. Let's see what this one flesh is. This is the intimacy that I'm talking about. But before I do, go to with me to Matthew chapter 19, verse number 6. Now this is Yeshua speaking here. This is Yeshua. And Yeshua says in Matthew chapter 19, verse Verse number 4. And he answered and said unto them. Now, he is quoting what we read, what Elohim did in the beginning. Okay? Because the Pharisees here are saying, should a man give a divorce to the wife? And he's saying, well, no. And he goes, yeah, but Moses said that you can give a divorce. But he goes, no. But the reason is because of your hard heart. What I'm about to teach you, most Jews know. Look at what it says in verse number 4. And he answered and said unto them, have you not read the which he made them in the beginning, male and female? And said, for this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they both shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no longer two, but one flesh. Well, therefore Elohim has joined together, let not man separate. Now, when does this joining together take place? Anybody?
When I say I do?
No. No, because when you say I do, you're still two. It's not done.
Oh, sorry.
When you say, okay, this togetherness is done in intimacy. Only in intimacy. Between a husband and a wife. A man and a woman, what they have is sex. Now, what's the difference? What is the difference? This is why I put these little cartoons in a minute. I'm going to show you what it is. The reason men and women don't know each other is because really they haven't studied their spouse. Let me continue. What Yeshua is speaking here, let no man separate. This is in the Gospel of Thomas that it says, Yeshua said to them, when you make the two one, and when you make the inside like the outside, the upper like the lower, and when you make the male and the female into a single one, then you will enter into the kingdom. Now, this is in the Gospel of Thomas that Rome decided to take it off from the Bible. Let's see what that means. Relationships are very, very complicated. And it's hard work of tending to families and friends. It's not glamorous. It is also lifelong, and it never ends. But the rewards are priceless. Do you all agree with me? The nature of marriage makes it more than physical bond. It makes it more than an emotional bond. It is the deepest meaning, a spiritual bond built out of the depths of love between two souls. Okay, I'm going to explain this the best I can. Okay, the best I can. Let me see. Let me explain it the best. Are you all with me? Mm-hmm. Okay? Just remember this. Marriage is kadosh. Is set apart. Is holy. Because marriage is divine. It came from the divine source. Okay? Now, everything that exists right now, everything that you see, everything material, including oxygen that we don't see, including demons and spiritual beings that we don't see. Everything came from the spiritual world first, including marriage. Does that make sense? I'm gonna explain it as easy as I can. Okay. Men and women do not think alike. Men and women have different needs, but this is not the teaching right now. Now, I want you to, if you can see this, can you see the flip chart? Okay. Men and and women, right here, this is our brains. Okay? The thing here is to think. We do not think the same way. So that means that the brain has been structured, that it has been put together in different ways. Okay? Now, this is the female. Let's see what the female does. And this is the male. The only thing, listen very, in intimacy, that a woman does, she receives. And a man gives. That's it. I'll tell you in a minute what this means. Are you with me? Are you there?
Yes.
Now, practically, these are two brains opposite of each other. According to science, men think, I believe, it's the left side of the brain or the right side. One of the, anyway, the woman thinks of the other opposite. Okay? You.
Yeah.
Now, heaven and earth, this is spiritual, correct? And this is physical. Right? This is the material world. Okay, now, I'm trying to explain this the best I can. Material world, this is what males do, represent. The spiritual world, this is what the female does. Are you with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Females represent the spiritual or? And males
I'm sorry, what was that?
Females, can you repeat that? Females represent the
Okay,
spiritual,
okay.
males represent the physical. That's,
A female job is to receive.
yes.
A male's job is to give. A male represents, the male represents the physical, the earth. It represents earth. Okay? And the female represents heaven, spiritual. The reason why a lot of women ask their husbands, do you love me? Is because she has not been, that need that she has, it has not been met.
Yeah.
Because he's not giving it to her.
Yeah.
And when she's asking, do you love me? It's not for him to say, well, yeah, sure, I love you. At that moment, she wants to hear, because it's spiritual, she wants to hear, you're the best thing, I'm proud of you, you're the best thing in my life, I am so happy to have you in my life. But most husbands don't do this. What do they do? Well, I'm watching, yeah, I love you. Then I tell you, what's going on with you? What is this? What do you mean, do I love you? And I'm married to you for what? 40 years? Why do you ask me that? But watch. A male, when the woman is not receiving, he doesn't operate correctly. Now, this is what I want you to focus. See these little polka dots here?
Mm-hmm.
This is where I want you to focus, because that's where you are going to understand the other person. Now, now, let me flip this and I'll come back to this. Okay. Male and female.
Yeah.
That way you understand a little better, right? Okay, now watch this. These two are opposite of each other. One is a receiver and one is a giver. Okay? So the male is the physical. The physical. The female is the spiritual. The male represents the earth. Okay? Why the earth? Where do you sow seeds? In the earth. What does a male do? He sows seeds. Okay? And what does, okay, and heaven. Okay? Now, this represents strong. This represents love. This represents leader. This represents submissive. Now, this represents giver. Are you all with me?
Mm-hmm.
And this represents receives. Receive or receptor. But I don't want to use receptor because a lot of people don't understand, So I put giver and receives. A woman cannot give. A woman intimacy will never give. Never. A woman surrenders completely to the male. And the male does his business. And you'll see what intimacy is. This I call rated sex. Can you deal with that? Rated sex. Rated sex. Okay? In intimacy, listen very carefully. In intimacy, it is the most profound expression of your love. It is very deep, okay? It is togetherness. It is what's happening in the intimacy is called this. You become attached to each other. So far? It's okay? You understand that? See, this kind of intimacy in marriage is beyond sex. Between a man and a woman. The only time this happens is when, this is why it's called love making, correct? Is that correct? Or sex. But you'll see why. What does it mean to be intimate? Now, okay, now you understood opposite attract. North Pole, South Pole. Up and down. Darkness and light. Okay? Now, that looks like an eye, doesn't it? That's supposed to be your brain. I'm sorry. Now, when you come in and when you come together as husband in intimacy, there is a wall. This wall is called a mirror. What you are seeing is your mirror on the opposite side. Because men and women have both female and male sex hormones. One, like in my case, the female overpowers the male. My husband, the male overpowers the female. So when you don't understand each other in intimacy, there is a mirror that the two become one, because that one who you meet is your maker. And unless he gives and she receives, there cannot be no intimacy. Are you all with me?
Amen.
Because as it is in heaven, so is on earth. What does that mean? In heaven, angels do not marry. But when he created them, he created female, male and female. Created he them. And the reason that men and women do not understand each other is because they don't understand the opposite of who they are. You understand that? When a man talks about cars and, oh, I love cars and the colors and, and I want to create, a woman, yeah, she says, okay, this is all right, it's okay. When a woman says, do you love me? How do I look good? He says, yeah, you look good, yeah, sure, in her position. This is why you have to study your spouse. It's not condemning your spouse. It's not going to the other side of the mountain because the grass is not greener on the other side of the mountain. It has a lot of weeds and it brings a lot of kids with a lot of problems. When you marry someone, you are marrying their flaws. You are marrying their problems. You are marrying their imperfection. You are not marrying somebody that's perfect. But there's something that that person had that draws your attention. How can you be in love one day, you get married, you're in love, and all of a sudden after a while, for 5, 6, 7 years, now you got the 7-year itch, it's time to go. You find other men or other women attractive. You're not an animal. Only animals do that. Because you were not taught really what it is to be in marriage. Let me continue. The word intimate, it comes from the French word in time. And then it comes from the Latin intimus, which means innermost. From intus, which means within. Within. What's the difference between love and intimacy? Intimacy is about knowing someone deeply and being able to in other words, to be completely free in the presence of this person. And love is when you love somebody, you're in love with somebody. Loving someone means you needing them around. Being in love with someone, you always want them to be around. You crave them. You want them to be with you more than anything. Elohim created man in his image, and the image created he him. Male and female created he them. What happens in intimacy, that separation that he did in the Garden of Eden, when we have intimacy, we go back together and become one. Did you understand that or no? Huh?
Say that again.
In the beginning created he, in his image. Created Elohim, male and female, created he them. There was a separation in the beginning. Remember that he took the rib? Mm-hmm. So now it's not a female male, now is a man and a woman. Ish and Isha. Mm-hmm. So when you have intimacy with your spouse, you go back being one the original way before Adam was, his side was open. You become one. And what happens there, Yahweh meets you. And what happens there, you go into eternity. You are no longer in the flesh, you're in the spirit. You literally meet your spouse in the spirit. This is why, and I'm going to say the word. Can I say the word? I mean, I'm not orgasm. For those that, I'm trying to keep it as sane as possible.
We literally meet our spouse where?
When you are in a hurry in intimacy, it's more than sexual. It's beyond sexual pleasure. If a man understood his role, it's not to, no. This is your wife. She is the receiver. Because she has a uterus. And what does the woman receive in the uterus? She receives life. She receives the power of the man. A woman does not give to the man in intimacy. The woman surrenders completely to him because she's waiting to receive. And he surrenders to her, but to give. You understand that? Okay? Then what happens is, When you understand this, there you meet your maker. There you are no longer in the physical. There you are in the spirit. And what happens is you are getting what is called a glance, what it is to be in the spirit. And what happens, you don't want that to go. Even though it only lasts for seconds. But that happens when both together go into intimacy. This is where they meet their maker. Because Yahweh is one. And what happens there is, at that moment, you don't think about problems. You don't think about her flaws. You don't think about how bad he speaks. You really don't think about the physical world. You're in the spiritual world. And it's a dimension that is unbelievable. That only a husband and wife can do. How is that? Because a husband and wife are committed to each other, not a man and a woman. A man and a woman can leave anytime. There's no commitment. There's nothing there. There's no commitment. Well, I love her. And she's like, well, what does love got to do with it? You're just having a sexual urge. That's it. You can be an animal. Animals do that. Animals, they're running loose.
Like the chicken.
Just like the chicken and the rooster and and the lions and the lioness. You want to be an animal? Then you go ahead. No, we're talking about being human. And how you do this is why he made marriage. To become one. And when you do this, as the day goes by, you understand his needs and he understands your needs. And what happens is you begin to grow stronger. Stronger. The children begin to see you. They want to imitate you. The family says there's something different here. And let me tell you, it's not that we're perfect, but you begin to understand there's nobody like this man. There's nobody like this woman, because it's a gift that Elohim has given you. And what happens? The children grow up and they start doing their own marriage thing. But you stay with your husband and your wife. You stay with each other. And guess what? You grow old. And let me tell you, the intimacy becomes more stronger. Now do you understand what intimacy is? That the two become one? Okay? Okay. Everybody needs somebody. Do you agree with me? Everybody needs somebody in their life. Someone to share your dreams, to share your goals, your happiness, your hurts, your laughter, your ideas, your intimate life. Elohim did not make man to be alone, because it is no good for man to be alone. Okay? Sometimes we focus so much on, we want somebody. Don't worry about it. He'll bring it if you have that faith. Because Adam did not call Eve. Elohim brought her to him. Life is tough, and no one should have to go through it alone. The children grow up and they make their own lives. And now you're at home together. Okay? And then what? Let me tell you, for my husband and I, we're dating again. He's not perfect, and neither am I. Less am I. But I'm going to tell you, we laugh together. We make jokes, not at each other. We just laugh. We laugh. We're growing old together. We don't see our body the same. He takes care of me. I take care of him. To me, this is me. There's nobody like my husband. He's my treasure. See, when you understand this concept of being one, you think back when you were 20 years old and you were married. How wonderful it was when you were in your honeymoon. But it's beyond that. As you grow old together, you do not fall out of love. Actually, you grow deeper. Because how nice it is to have somebody in your life that you're growing old, and you're growing old together, and somebody's there to talk to you, to communicate, to laugh, to go to bed together, and to be intimate. Whatever they're telling you, that as you get old, as you in marriage, as you it gets, it's, in other words, it's not the same as you grow in your marriage. You're really not. It's not the same. It's better. It really is. I'm telling you. But see, we have made Elohim our number one source in our life. I am not behind my husband. I am not in front of my husband. I am not above my husband. I am next to my husband. And my husband feels the same way. We are not in any way in competition with any. I am not in competition with him. He is not in competition with me. He knows his duty, and I know mine. And yes, I can see a man, oh, he's nice looking. Okay, big deal. Okay. But you know what? Honestly and truly, nobody can take his position. And when he says the same, I mean, I'm not. It's not that I'm speaking for him, but I know he says the same. And when you see your husband or your wife like this, you are giving your husband value. Your wife value. You have to value your husband and your wife. What type of value do you give your husband and wife? How much is she or he worth to you? Living together, it's just like animals. You know, she's got the pheromones, she's doing whatever, and then, okay, let's take care of business, girls. This is what a rooster does. But that's not intimacy. It's just a desire to get rid of some kind of desire that you have. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody needs somebody to love and someone to love them back. Do you agree with me? Life is tough and no one should have to go through alone. Yahweh Elohim said it's not good that man should be alone, but I will make him a compatible helper to him. In the sacred union of marriage, both husband and wife should complement each other, not condemn one another. Do you all agree with me? Mm-hmm. Because two are better than one, and we read that. When one falls, the other lifts him up. But to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him. Go with me to the book of Ecclesiastes. I speak about marriage because it's one of the topics that he wants me to speak on because of our marriage. I have counseled many married women. I have coached a couple of couples. I've been counseling for marriage, for partners, I would say for maybe 15, 20 years. And to this day, it's still the same thing. And this is what women say: he doesn't pay attention to me. I don't know what to do. There's a lack right now in men and women that only another person can fulfill. And I'm talking about your marriage. You belong to your husband and your husband belongs to you. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse number 11, here Solomon is speaking that there's a time for everything in life. Don't you feel that this is a time that you need to learn about your marriage? You need to learn and really make your marriage better. Or if you're single, how to really, when you do get married, or that wonderful person comes into your life. That's another teaching. Okay? What to do? Now look at what it says on verse number 1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. Verse 11. He has made everything beautiful in his time. Also he has set the world. The world means eternity. Eternity in their hearts. Remember I told you when you become one, you go to eternity? So that no man can find out the work that Elohim maketh from the beginning to the end. I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. 13. And also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of Elohim. I know that whatever Elohim does, it shall be, it says there the word forever, eternity. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything can be taken from it. And Elohim does it that man should fear. The word there, fear, means reverence, respect before him. Marriage is from the beginning, and there's a season for everything. Divorces are getting higher and higher, and that's not just in the world. I'm speaking about believers. Because a lot of believers, what they're doing, instead of seeking or instead of getting guided by the right counsel, they're looking at the world and they're doing what the world is doing. There's a time, this is a choice now. I'm going to give you this right now. A choice. There's a time to be single, but there's also a time to get married when you choose to. Do you agree with me? Paul did not choose to get married, but that's his problem. Most men and many women don't like to be single. They don't like to, they want to be married because they want to be married. He has made everything beautiful in his time, including marriage. What is the purpose? What is the purpose of you having money? Are you having things, but really you have nobody to share them with? What's the purpose of that? What's the purpose of you having a gazillion dollars in the bank? You have a lot of real estate, but you don't have anyone. You don't have a person to share it with. What's the purpose of that? It is not easy finding somebody that really, not that thinks like you, but that shares your goals, your abilities, and wants your well-being. Everybody is looking for somebody to see what they can give them. But very few people are really into marriage because marriage is kadosh. Your spouse is your treasure, and you need to value that treasure. Your spouse is not only a treasure that you have to take care of, and you do not throw it away, and you do not get rid of it. It is a personal gift to you from Elohim. It is the only personal gift that He will give you besides your life. It's your spouse. It's your husband or your wife. Because He is the one that instituted it. Marriage. So Yahweh, what He has given you is a husband and wife. He has given you a treasure. Do not be like Adam and say, the woman you gave me. And then the woman said, the serpent beguiled me. Because she didn't even look at her husband. How nasty is that? See, this is why it's a gift. You want me to tell you why it's a gift? Your husband and wife? There's power in unity. And when you are surrendering to your husband or to your wife, and you're undressed, you're completely naked, there's no remorse, there's no shyness, there's no imperfection. You surrender totally, completely to your spouse. You're not ashamed. Okay? Because you are husband and wife. United we stand, divided we fall. You are surrendering to each other. No insecurities, no shame, no shyness, no worries that he or she does not like you. You just are completely open to receive and give each other's love. Isn't that beautiful? Don't you agree? She belongs to me. She is my gift from Elohim. She belongs to me. He belongs to me. He is the gift, is my gift from Elohim. He belongs to me. How can I not treasure this unique gift that has come from above? What is value? What do you value? The problem with marriage is, it's not marriage itself, but the value you give your husband or your wife. What value are you giving your husband or your wife? This person that has gone through good times and a lot of bad times. What is the value? That is the problem in marriages today. Is what is the value you're giving your spouse? How much is your husband or wife worth to you? On a scale from 1 to 10, what is the value you give your husband or your wife? Brothers and sisters. Brothers, on a scale from 1 to 10, what is the percentage or the number you give the value of your wife? On the sisters, what is the scale you give to your husband? Is your husband or wife important to you? How determined are you to make your marriage work or make it happy? Husband, love your wives. Wives, respect your husbands. This person shares his life 24/7. His or her life 24/7 with you. I am a very fortunate woman, a very fortunate human being to have my husband in my life. And I mean this literally with all my heart. I wish all women felt like I feel towards their husbands. Out of all the women in the world, he has chosen me, myself and I. Isn't that awesome? I am fortunate to have him in my life. What do you think I do to my husband? I cater to my husband. Literally, I cater to my husband. With all his imperfections, because I know there's nobody like him. But see, girls, the reason I do this, not because he is the head of the house, but because he is constantly giving me, loving me, respecting me. No matter what, even if I go to Publix, honey, just be careful. You know how nice that feels? Every woman wants that. But it has to start with somebody. And that has been my prayer for love. That's been my prayer for about 16 years. That I wish all the women that I speak in public, because I do speak in public, and women that are having problems, they have the kind of relationship my husband and I have. And it's awesome. You know why? You love your children more. You go beyond with your grandchildren, your parents, your grandparents, and then you see the unity, you see the warmth, you see the love, you feel it, And since I personally love to cook, I love to cook. I love to cook. So I cook because I know through cooking I can speak. I do special dishes for my husband. But see, it took a lot for us. It took a lot of hard work for both of us to do this. Am I right, my husband?
Yes.
But let me tell you, it is worthwhile. Sometimes people put priority, other things are priority that doesn't make any sense to me. And let me tell you, it is awesome. We laugh together. Laughing together is very healthy. 99% of your happiness will be determined on who you marry. And 99% of your marriage, of your unhappiness in your marriage will be who you marry.
Say that again.
99% of your bitterness or unhappiness will be who you marry. 99% of your happiness will determine who you marry. So either or, it goes either or. So be careful who you marry. Stop criticizing each other. Give appreciation. Stop talking. Stop talking about what you want and really see what the other person needs. Are you all with me? You're so quiet. You will be a totally different man or woman. You will be happier, richer in your marriage and relationship. Everybody in the world is seeking happiness. And I'm going to tell you, there is only one way, sure way to find it. Controlling your thoughts. You want happiness, you have to control your thoughts. And control your mouth, your tongue. Happiness does not depend on the outward conditions. It depends on your inner conditions. You draw to yourself how you are inside, what you think. Because emotions is a very high frequency. That you will draw like a magnet what you want in your life.
Yeah.
So if you're bitter, and if you're resentful, if you're prideful, and your ego takes over, you're going to get the same thing. So emotions really attract, how you feel attract what you want in your life. This is called the law of sowing and reaping. When you sow an emotion, S-O-W, when you sow, when you plant, when you sow an emotion, you will reap the harvest. So change the way you think. Change your emotions. Well, he did, she did, my parents did it. Okay, we understand. We all have a past. I understand this. But begin in slow motion, in baby steps. Marriage is learning. It's a process, it's an experience. Each day, each hour, second, week, month, and year, you are constantly learning in your marriage. After 17 years of marriage that we thought we were, that's it, it's over with. Now I was thinking, now starting all over again, what is this? You've given this man and this woman so many years of your time. You give him children, and I'm talking about both. And all of a sudden it's over and I'm going to start somewhere else, and then most of the time it's somebody that has other kids. Now he or she comes and now they have a bag, a little goodie bags, surprises. And also sometimes the mother-in-law that you have to maintain somewhere in Cuba or in Central America. I'm not kidding. What happened? And then you stand before a judge This judge is really determining who goes to what and what goes to here and goes there because this and that. You know how bad you feel, how bad I felt? I was sitting there, I almost fainted. I said, what is this, 17 years? And now this judge is making because of, it's a law. And I understand. You know how bad it feels? It doesn't matter how bad a divorce feels. It's awful. Now you got two attorneys. You have the husband and wife, and then of course now that we are really enemies, and then you have a judge that's really directing what goes to what here. You know how bad you feel after 17 years that you've been married, and now this man, because he does the law, he's going to determine what goes to who and what and what. That's how it feels awful. I started crying. I would never show to anybody how I felt. I would smile, but inside I would go to bed at night and I would cry. I would hear my husband when he would talk to the girls, and my heart would go pitter patter, pitter patter. I would see him, and it's like, wow, I can't believe it's over. It's over. But see, what God joins, no man can separate. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to finish with this. For the two become one flesh. There's no other relationship like a marriage. For the two is the only one that two become one flesh. Listen very carefully. This is called divine intimacy. Mm-hmm. There you are mirroring. There's a mirror of yourself in the glass, and you're seeing opposite of who you are, of yourself. Mm-hmm. The two become one rule is husband and wife. This is where we meet Elohim. Because there we see where we came from. Are you with me? In this intimacy, there we see where we came from. There both are in eternity. There you're no longer in the physical realm, but you are inside the spiritual world. That's why it feels so good. You don't want it to leave because it's an experience that you cannot have it anywhere else. There both husband and wife are inside what is called the unconditional love. This is the highest and greatest expression of love that you can give a woman or a man. And this is done where? It's done in intimacy, in a marriage. Hallelujah. Marriage has 8 letters. M-A-R-R-I-A-G-E. It's got 8 letters representing new beginnings, not old endings. It is not good for a man to be alone. Why? Him represents both male and female. Marriage is a mystery, Paul says. Paul says in the book of Ephesians, this is the mystery, and what I speak on is about Messiah and the church. Remember he said that? A marriage grows when a husband and wife work together to make it work. Feel successful in what they do in their marriage. Make decisions together. Work through conflicts. Support one another's needs. Have fun and play together. Overcome the leaky roofs in their relationships. Hold each other to high principles. Appreciate and respect one another individuality. Challenge one another to take the next step. Build a better and healthy relationship. Experience victory together. Learn from each other's mistakes and setbacks. And this is the last thing. see the responsibility to each other. And without Elohim, without Yahweh in your life, and really making him number one, it will not work. I hope this teaching has helped you. Until next Shabbat, Shalom Aleichem, Shavua Tov.